Autoline Daily is brought to you by Dow Automotive Systems, improving durability and increasing design flexibility with Betamate structural adhesives at dowbetamate.com.
Here are today's top headlines. Yep, another Toyota recall, but this one's not their fault. BMW makes 5 Series using parts from the 7, and we'll show you what this MyFord Touch is all about. Up next, we'll be back with the news behind the headlines. This is Autoline Daily for Monday, February 15, 2010, and now the news. You might be sick and tired about hearing of all these recalls at Toyota, but here's another one. The company is voluntarily calling back some 8,000 Tacoma pickups. A small number of 2010 models with 4-wheel drive may have tiny cracks on part of the front drive shaft that could cause the shaft to separate from its joint. But this one is a supplier problem. The part was manufactured by supplier Dana, which also ships the same parts for some Ford and Nissan models. And amid a lot of speculation that electronic throttle controls may be at the heart of its unintended acceleration problems, Toyota submitted a letter to the U.S. Congress denying there was a fault with the electronics that led to its massive recall. According to the AFP, in a letter sent to the U.S. House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, which is investigating the recalls, the automaker said it is convinced there is no problem with the electronics in its vehicles. Reuters reports that Mercury will get a new small car based off the company's C-segment platform. Our guess is that it'll probably be based on the new Ford Focus. Rumor has it the company will show a redesigned Mercury Milan at the New York Auto Show, so maybe that will be it. And this could finally signal that Ford truly is going to keep the Mercury brand. And speaking of Ford, it wants to help its dealers reduce their energy costs. According to the Detroit Free Press, 3 of its dealers are participating in a pilot program that could reduce their energy costs by about 20%. Although one of the dealers participating in the pilot expects an 80% drop in costs by installing things like LED light bulbs, light sensors, and low-flow toilets. It's a voluntary program, and dealers who make the changes will also likely qualify for federal and state tax incentives. And talking about cutting costs, BMW will start using some of the same components from the 7 Series in the new 5 Series. In fact, Bloomberg reports that 70% of the components in the new 5 will come from the 7. BMW is trying to cut its purchasing costs by 4 billion euros, and by sharing components, it gets greater economy of scale. BMW thinks it can cut the cost of a 5 Series by 15% with this strategy. That would shave more than $7,000 off the manufacturing cost of a typical 5 Series. But don't expect the price to go down that much. A lot of people are making a lot of money off the old GM's bankruptcy. According to the Detroit News, lawyers and consultants have billed Liquidation Motors $90 million in fees. In fact, GM's bankruptcy estate has hired so many lawyers and consultants, it had to hire a consultant to oversee them all, and that consultant hired 2 more consultants to help him. Some say this will become the most expensive bankruptcy case in American history, and the final bill could top $1 billion in professional fees and expenses, leaving very little money for creditors who are owed that money. Coming up next, we'll take a look at what this MyFord Touch is all about. Several years ago, Ford started a technology offensive when it introduced Sync. Now the company is pushing the envelope even further with a significant update to its infotainment system. As you'd expect, the latest generation of Sync offers all kinds of features, but the big news is the redesigned user interface. Called MyFord Touch, it features 2 5-way control pads on the steering wheel. Each one is tied to a multi-function LCD screen in the instrument cluster. The left-hand side displays handles vehicle-related things like the odometer and safety alerts, while the right screen is dedicated to infotainment, audio, navigation, and phone. Ford discovered that 5-way buttons are the easiest controls for people to use, and by keeping things simple, it's aiming to keep drivers safe. Emphasizing touch, the center stack on the 2011 Lincoln MKX, one of the first vehicles to get this technology, has no knobs. Instead, it uses touch-sensitive buttons and sliders for audio volume and fan speed. Don't worry, voice control is still a big part of the system, and engineers improved the speech recognition and simplified its command structure. Besides UI advances, the company is expanding in-car connectivity so you never have to be out of the loop. Ford has built a media center right in the car. It offers 2 USB ports, an SD card reader, and 3 RCA jacks. User interface engineer Jason Johnson explains what you can do with all of those inputs.
Through the USB ports, you can use a USB mobile broadband modem to connect to a 3G network, Sprint, Verizon, T-Mobile, any other provider. And then now your vehicle becomes a roaming hotspot that can transfer that Wi-Fi signal to the rear seat, to passengers. The USB ports will also accept, of course, USB thumb drives, portable media players that can play music, photos, and video. And the SD card is also used for navigation software, navigation data. So a lot of flexibility with different media types through the Media Hub. And the best thing is, as the capability or as the technology evolves in the future, the Media Hub can be removed and an upgraded Media Hub could be installed.
Beyond infotainment, Ford has found another clever use for the USB jacks. You can export all of your personal settings to a jump drive and transfer them to another vehicle equipped with MyTouch. That way, if your lease is up or if your spouse gets a new car, you don't have to reconfigure everything. Look for Ford's brand new user interface to debut on the 2011 Edge and Lincoln MKX. And that's it for today's top news in the global automotive industry. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.